Who was Isaac Newton? Isaac Newton was a famous scientist from England. Some people think that he was the smartest person who ever lived. Why does a ball drop to the ground when you let go of it? It is because of Earth's gravity. Newton was the first scientist to understand this. He also helped people to understand motion, like how a soccer ball moves when you kick it. Newton invented a new kind of math and a new kind of telescope. Early years. Isaac Newton was born on January 4th, 1643. He was born in a big house in England. His father died just before he was born. Newton was a tiny baby. His mother said he was so small that he could fit into a mug. When Newton was 3 years old, his mother got married again. His grandmother took care of Newton. He didn't like his new father. But when his new father died, his mother came back to Newton and his grandmother. Studies. Newton went to school from when he was 12 years old until he was 17. When he was 17, he had to go back home to help his mother. She wanted him to be a farmer. He did not like farming. He went back to school and finished when he was 18 years old. Newton was a very smart student. Next, he went to a famous school called Trinity College in Cambridge, England. He finished his studies at this school, but he wanted to learn more. Buying books. Newton really liked to learn new things. When he was studying at Trinity College, he bought extra books. He learned things in his classes, but he also studied on his own. When he was finished at Trinity College, Newton went back home. For 2 years, he bought more books and kept on studying. Most of the time, he studied math, but he also liked to look at the moon and stars at night. Newton the teacher. Newton went back to Trinity College to study more. Trinity College is a very famous school. When he was only 27 years old, he was asked to teach math at this school. So he was very young when he started to teach. Newton taught math, but he also taught something called optics. This is the science of light. It helps us understand things like rainbows. Students didn't like this class, so sometimes his classroom was empty. Light and color. What did Newton talk about in his optic classes? He talked about light and color. How many colors are there in a rainbow? There are 6 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Have you ever seen a prism? A prism is a piece of glass that is in the shape of a triangle. When sunlight hits the prism on one side, a kind of rainbow comes out on the other side. This is something that Newton learned and taught. Telescopes. Have you ever looked through a telescope? It is a way to see things that are far away. A telescope makes these things look closer to you. It makes them easier to see. The first telescopes used glass lenses. These are just like the lenses in glasses that people wear to help them see better. Newton built a new kind of telescope. It used mirrors instead of glass lenses. The telescopes we use today are like this. Thank you, Isaac Newton. Gravity. There is a famous story about Newton. He was sitting under an apple tree. He saw an apple drop from the tree. He thought about this. Why does an apple always fall to the ground? Now he understood. It was Earth's gravity. When you throw a basketball up into the hoop, the basketball always comes back down. Newton also understood that the sun has gravity. The sun's gravity keeps the Earth and the other planets in place. Motion. Newton is famous for telling us about gravity, but he also learned about motion and wrote about it. Newton said that if you push a soccer ball, it is not hard to push because it is not very heavy. But if you try to push a car, it is very hard to do because it is heavy. He also said that if you kick a soccer ball hard, it will go far. But if you don't kick it hard, it won't go very far. Newton was the first scientist to understand motion. Later years. Newton was a great scientist, but he was poor. He did not make very much money as a teacher at Trinity College. He was asked to go to London to take care of the Royal Mint. A mint is a place where money is made. He did a good job of fixing problems at the Royal Mint. He started to become richer. The Queen of England knighted Newton in 1704. This meant that he could now be called Sir Isaac Newton. He died in 1727 in London. Who was Leonardo da Vinci? Leonardo da Vinci was an artist, inventor, and scientist. Many people think he was the best painter of all time. His most famous painting is the Mona Lisa. He was good in many things like building, history, inventions, map-making, music, science, sculpture, and writing. Da Vinci drew many inventions like a parachute, a tank, and a helicopter. Early years. Leonardo was born in Italy in the town of Vinci. This is how he got his name, Leonardo da Vinci. Da means from. He was born on April 15, 1452. His father, Piero, was a wealthy and important man. Leonardo lived with his mother, Caterina, for the first 5 years of his life. Later, he started to live with his father and his grandparents. Studies. Leonardo was taught Latin, math, reading, and writing. He liked painting from an early age. There is a story that a man from the village brought a round shield to Leonardo's father because he wanted someone to paint it. His father gave the shield to Leonardo. He painted a scary-looking monster. It was so good, his father sold the shield to an art shop. Then he bought another shield that was already painted and gave this shield to the man from the village. Training. When he was 14 years old, Leonardo became the trainee of the best painter and sculptor in Florence. This was an important city not far from where Leonardo was born and raised. The artist's name was Andrea del Verrocchio. Leonardo learned many things here like drawing, painting, and sculpting. There were other famous artists who were trainees of Verrocchio at the same time. Early work. Leonardo finished his training when he was 20 years old. His father set up a workshop for him, but Leonardo kept working with Verrocchio. He helped Verrocchio finish a painting called The Baptism of Christ. There is a story that Verrocchio liked Leonardo's work on this painting so much that he put down his brush and never painted again. The first piece of art that Leonardo finished by himself was a pen and ink drawing of the Arno Valley, the home of the city of Florence. the most powerful family in Florence. At this time, the Medici family was a very powerful family in Florence, and the city of Florence was one of the most important cities during the Renaissance period. Renaissance means new start. It was a time when many things were being discovered, invented, and created. Leonardo lived with the Medici family and was studying in the schools set up by the Medici family. But Leonardo did not stay here long. He was about to be sent to Milan. The lyre. Leonardo was not just a painter. He was also a musician and an inventor. When he was in Florence with the Medici family, he created a lyre. A lyre is like a harp, but Leonardo's lyre was special. He made it in the shape of a horse's head. When the leader of the Medici family saw this beautiful lyre, he asked Leonardo to take it to Milan. He wanted Leonardo to give the lyre as a gift to the Duke of Milan. He asked Leonardo to do this to make peace between Florence and Milan. Milan. Leonardo worked in Milan for 17 years. Milan was also an important city during the Renaissance. While he was in Milan, Leonardo was asked to do 2 paintings, which would later become very famous. The first one was called The Virgin of the Rocks. The Virgin meant Mary, the mother of Jesus. The second painting was called The Last Supper. Later, when the French army attacked Milan, Leonardo, his assistant, and one of his friends quickly left and moved to Venice, another important city in Italy. Working for the Pope's son. Leonardo did not stay in Venice for long. He started to work for the son of Pope Alexander VI. Maps were rare at this time, and Leonardo drew maps for him. After this, Leonardo moved back to Florence and then back to Milan, where many of his students worked with him. But he did not stay in Milan for very long. His father had died, so Leonardo had to return to Florence. He had to help his family because his brothers were fighting over the things that had belonged to their father. Working for the King of France. Francis I was the King of France at this time. Leonardo was at a meeting between Francis I and Pope Leo X. Francis I asked Leonardo to work for him. He wanted Leonardo to make a mechanical lion that could walk. For the first time, Leonardo left Italy and moved to France to work for the king. The king gave Leonardo the use of a large house not far from the king's palace. He lived and worked here for the last 3 years of his life. Francis I was a friend of Leonardo, so when Leonardo died at the age of 67 in 1519, the king was very sad. Who was Marie Curie? Marie Curie was a famous scientist. She was born in Poland but later moved to France. Marie Curie was the first woman teacher at the University of Paris. She found 2 new elements, radium and polonium. Elements are things like gold, iron, and even gases like hydrogen. She won many awards for the things she did for science. Marie Curie was the first woman to win 2 Nobel Prizes in science. A Nobel Prize is very special. Early years. Marie Curie was born on November 7, 1867. She was born in the city of Warsaw in Poland. She had 4 brothers and sisters. Her parents were famous teachers. Her father taught math and science. These were both things Marie liked. However, Marie was not able to study science in school. At this time there was a war between Poland and Russia. Russia closed the schools, but Marie's father taught her and her brothers and sisters at home. Studies. After the war, when she was 10 years old, Marie started to go to a school for girls. She was so good that she won a gold medal. She helped some of her father's students who were having trouble learning. At this time, most colleges did not allow women to go to classes. Only young men were allowed to learn. But there was one university that allowed women. It was called the Flying University. And this is where she and her sister went to school. Paris. Marie's sister wanted to go to Paris to learn medicine. Marie agreed to help her sister pay for her studies in Paris. At the same time, Marie studied on her own in Poland. She read many books and taught herself. She didn't have enough money to go to Paris, but her father helped her. Here she joined her sister. Marie studied math and science at the University of Paris. It was not easy because she was poor, cold, and hungry. Starting to work. Marie continued to study at the University of Paris. At the same time, she started to work at a science lab. This money helped her pay for important things like food. It was at this time that she met her future husband, Pierre Curie. He was a science teacher in Paris. Marie was looking for a bigger room for her science work. Someone told her about Pierre, and he gave her a place where she could work on her science ideas. Marriage. Marie and Pierre started to work every day in the same workplace. They were both scientists and loved science, and soon they began to love each other. Pierre wanted to get married, but Marie wanted to go back to Poland. When she arrived, she found out that she was not allowed to teach at college because she was a woman. She returned to Paris and they got married. They liked to ride bicycles together when they were not working. A new baby. Marie and Pierre kept on working on their science jobs. In 1897, Marie and Pierre had a little baby girl. They named her Irene. To help pay for food and other things, Marie took a new job. She started to teach at a very famous school in Paris. It was known for having very smart students. At the same time, she kept on working with her husband. They worked in an old shed. The water dripped through the roof when it rained. 2 new elements. It was at this time that Marie and Pierre found 2 new elements. They named one polonium, after Marie's home country of Poland, and they named the second one radium, which means ray, like ray of sunshine. Other scientists had found other elements. They quickly wrote what they had found. Marie and Pierre did the same thing. As soon as they found polonium, Po, and radium, Ra, they wrote about both of them. Speeches and prizes. Marie and Pierre were asked to give a speech at a big college in London, but Marie was not allowed to speak because she was a woman. Only Pierre could speak. The Nobel Prize is one of the best prizes in the world. It was started by a man from Sweden named Nobel. At first, they were going to give a prize to Pierre and another scientist, but Pierre was unhappy about this. So Marie also won the prize, and she was the first woman to win this special prize. Later years. Marie and Pierre used the money from the Nobel Award to hire someone to help them. Marie and Pierre had their second daughter, Eve, in 1904. Only 2 years later, Pierre died in a car accident. Marie was very sad about this. Before he died, he had been teaching science at the University of Paris. After he died, the University of Paris asked Marie to take his place. She was the first woman to be a teacher at this school.